Hi, my name is Yin Gao and welcome to Dr. Gao's classroom. I'm a professional philosopher and I love classical Chinese poetry. I also have a passion for classical Chinese philosophies. I have been teaching and translating classical Chinese philosophies for many years and poetry for the last few years. I'd love to share my knowledge on these subjects with you. Your enjoyment is my command. I have made 7 videos on poetry from Frontier so far, and there are still quite a few poets I haven't gotten around to talk about. But I'm ready to give it a break for now. Of course, I would certainly make more videos on poetry from Frontier in the future. I haven't even talked about Li Bai and Du Fu's poems from Frontier. Today, I'm going to talk about Chuang Tzu's philosophy. In my last video on Chuang Tzu's philosophy, I introduced the concept of 智人, or the perfectly adapted man, who is able to align himself with the cosmic rhythm. I also talked about the concept of 无己, or losing oneself in the cosmic rhythm. Zhuangzi believes that by losing oneself in the cosmic rhythm, one will become attuned to the rhythmic changes of the world, hence adapted to any changes coming his way. And this is why the perfectly adapted man is amazingly effective when it comes to achieve what he or she intended to. Sometimes he or she seems having supernatural power, such as bring good harvest or prevent natural disasters, etc. I also explained the concept of 无己 in terms of deliberately putting aside of one's existing habits, accepted norms, or conventions, even knowledge when accumulated, at least for a moment, to critically assess the changes in one's life with fresh eyes or perspective, so that one would be able to achieve a fulfilled life. However, it is certainly not enough by having the knowledge of such changes or even the patterns of changes. It is like reading a book about how to drive does not make one a good driver. The same is true that having the knowledge of how to live a fulfilled life does not ensure that one is able to live such a life. So, today I'm going to talk about how to acquire and practice these kind of skills. If you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos on classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, or medical literature. If you like the content of these videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. If you would like to read the original text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. Now, let me go back to Zhuangzi. For Zhuangzi, the art of living a fulfilled life is a skill that can be acquired by practicing it. Like driving, dancing, or swimming, such skills could only be acquired by practicing them. So, what is this skill? As usual, Zhuangzi tells us by telling a story. This is the well-known story of 庖丁解牛, or cooking, butchering an ox. Now, let me read the part that describes cooking performing the butchering of the ox in the story first. Then I would give you Zhuangzi's interpretation of the performance. The translation I cited here is one by Professor Wu Guangming of University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh at the United States. There are quite a few different scholarly translations of Zhuangzi available now. The reason I choose Wu's translation is that his translation is the most literal translation. Better still, his translation also kept the musical quality of Zhuangzi's original text. Now, let me read both the Chinese and the English translation for you. 手之所处，肩之所以，足之所履，喜之所期。哗然响然，骤到豁然，莫不重音。何于山林之舞，乃众经手之会。Now, let me read the translation. The hand touch, the shoulders lean, the feet plant, the knees press. Swallows swish, the meat is whiskered from the bones. The performing knife zings through the ox, hitting the tone of the dance of Mulberry forest, the symphonic tone of the neck and the head. I won't have time to translate this excerpt character by character, but you would still be able to grasp the gist of this description. What is Zhuangzi trying to do here? He is trying to communicate what is beyond the mere words. It is the rhythm of the butcher's performance that Zhuangzi is trying to tell us. How his hands, shoulders, and feet move. How does he wield his knife? How efficient he accomplishes his tasks, and how elegant is his performance, etc. And of course, there is also the sound effect, such as hua and huo, which I translated as swallows and swish. He even cited the ritual music of the ancient sage kings to show how significant Kukuding's performance is. Now, let me explain the two pieces of music Zhuangzi invoked here. 山林之舞, or the dance of Mulberry forest, was the ritual dance for sacrificing to the royal ancestors, as well as the rain-praying dance performed at springtime during the Song Dynasty. When the Song Dynasty was replaced by Zhou Chao, or the Zhou Dynasty, the Zhou king gave a small state to the remaining members of the Song royal family, named Shongguo, or the state of the Shong, which was the native state of Zhuangzi. By the way, this was the practice in ancient China. When a sage king conquered another dynasty, they would give the defeated royal family a piece of land, so that they would be able to continue their family line and sacrifice to their ancestors. This kind of practice was continued until the Mongolians conquered China. Now, the Song people must have continued their ancestral rituals by performing the dance of Mulberry forest at Zhuangzi's lifetime. So this dance was very important for the Song people and Zhuangzi. 经手, or the neck and head, is part of a symphony called 咸池, or the universal pound. 咸池 is a big deal. It was supposedly composed by the legendary Huangdi, or the Yellow Emperor, and improvised by another legendary figure, Ping Yao, an ancient king known for his wisdom and humanity, a figure of similar cultural significance to King Solomon from the Bible in the West. There is a detailed account of this symphony in chapter 14 of Zhuangzi, in the title of Tianyun, or the Revolution of Heaven. Tian here refers to the celestial bodies, such as the 7 visible planets in the solar system. Yun refers to their movement, especially the circular movement around the sun. So Tianyun refers to the movement pattern of the celestial bodies. According to Chinese astrology, the movement pattern of the celestial body are closely linked with the climate pattern as well as seasonal changes, hence had a huge impact on the fortunes of dynasty. So Tianyun, or the Revolution of Heaven, has a similar connotation as how natural law was understood during Renaissance in Europe. So xianqi is the musical presentation of such natural law. That is why this piece of music is so important, because it is the musical presentation of the cosmic rhythm or heavenly piping as discussed in my videos on Chuang Tzu's philosophy. I'm also going to make a video about Chuang Tzu's account of the universal pond in the future. The interesting point I would like to raise here is that Jingshou, or the neck and head, was supposed to be performed at autumn to celebrate a good harvest. For Chuang Tzu's account in chapter 14, as you might guess, in the cultural significance of the universal pond, Jingshou is a dance for humans to communicate with heaven in the format of heavenly rhythm. It has a cosmic significance. Now, let me go back to the story of Ding. The description of the performance was followed by the exclamation of the Lord Wenhui, for whom Ding was doing the job. How could the skill arrive at such height? Then followed by Ding's lengthy explanation how he achieved such excellent skill. He said that he was more interested in the Tao than the skills. After 19 years of practice, he can dissect an ox with his eyes closed. He meets the ox with his spirit rather than his sensory faculties. His knife has become part of his body. His hand and knife automatically follow the gaps in the ox's body. He said that an average butcher changes his knife every month because he hikes. A good butcher changes his knife every year because he cuts. He has used the same knife for 19 years, and it is as sharp as it was just sharpened at the grindstone. In the following two sentences, Ding explains why his knife is as sharp as new. Let me read the sentence first in Chinese. 一呼天理，披大细，导大捆，因其固然。Yi means follow. Hu is the exclamation mark. 天理 means heavenly pattern. Pi means slide through. Da means great. Xi means crevice. Dao means follow. Da means great. Kuan means cavity. Yin means according to. Qi means it. 固然 means naturally so. So the sentence reads, following the heavenly patterns, my knife slides through the great crevice. According to its natural lines, my knife follows the great cavity. Note that Ding stresses that he follows the heavenly pattern, and his knife simply slides through the natural lines, never has to cut anything. The heavenly patterns is the natural patterns of the anatomy of the ox. No wonder that his knife haven't become dull even after 19 years of use. Ding also offered an explanation how does he use his knife so that it does not become dull. 彼节者有剑，而刀刃者无后。以无后入有剑，挥挥乎，其余游刃必有余地。彼 means that. 节 means joint. 者 is the word to refer to a class of things with a specific quality defined by the preceding character. So 节者 refers to all the joints. 有 means there is. 剑 means room. 耳 means well. 刀 means knife. 刃 means blade. 者 again is the word to refer a class of things. So 刀刃者 refers to the knife and blade. 无 means no. 厚 means thickness. 以 means width. 无 means no. 厚 means thickness. 入 means enter. 有 means there is. 见 means room. 灰灰 means vast. Who is an exclamation mark. 七 means it. 与 means with. 有 means move around. 刃 means blade. 壁 means must. 与 means extra. 地 means room. 一 is another exclamation mark. So the sentence read, there is room between joints, while the blade has no thickness. To enter what has room with what has no thickness, there must be ample room for the blade to move around. So, it is not that there is no room for the knife to go into the ox. It is because the average cook could not find the space between the joints, so he opts to hack. And there is also room among the muscles, but the average cook could also not find it, so he opts to cut. The key is to find the room between things. After Cook Ding explained all this, Lao Wenhui exclaimed again, saying, "Excellent! I heard the word of Cook Ding and discovered how to nurture life." I don't think Chuang Tzu is suggesting we all practice butchering to learn how to nurture our life. It is not the skill per se that is the art of nurturing life. It is the art of finding the room and becoming the master of our lives. To find a room to be ourselves, to be creative, to enjoy what we are doing, and to be happy. In this super competitive world, we all felt squeezed of our time, energy, opportunity, etc. Sometimes we feel that we have to be brutal to be successful, to push someone out of our way to get where we want to be, to lie or cheat to get what we want. And we reason that since everyone is doing it, we would be disadvantaged if we do not act in the same way. Maybe we would eventually get what we want, be where we want to be, but we also lose a lot. We become cynical, we become the kind of people we don't like, we become depressed, and we hate what we are doing to others and to ourselves. We are like the average cook, hiking our way through this treacherous world, leaving a trail of destruction behind us. We forgot that there is plenty room for everyone in the world, if only we know how to find it. We can find it if we get into steps with the changes happening in our lives and adapt to the changes rather than fighting them. If we're good, like Cook Ding, we can even dance to the rhythm of these changes. That is, to enjoy the changes and having fun with the changes. If we can practice on observing the changing patterns around us, appreciating the changes, and become more and more adept to the changes, we would have much easier life than having to fight every step along the way. Like the idiom derived from this story, 游刃有余, we would have plenty room to be ourselves, to be creative, to enjoy what the world offered to us, to live a content and fulfilled life. In my next video, I'm going to start a new series about poetry on romantic love. As you might know, romantic love is not celebrated during Imperial China. I talked about this in my 2 videos about the moon festivals and romance. Here is the link. There was very little opportunity for young men and women to meet each other, let alone develop romantic relationship. Marriage during Imperial China, as in many other traditional societies, were arranged marriage. In Imperial China, marriage were not for romantic love, but for political alliance among the ruling class, or simply for continue the family names for most people. Oftentimes, a husband would only openly express their love for their wives after the wife had passed away, so that they did not have to concern about protecting the privacy of their wives. So there are a lot of poems expressing romantic love for the wives in the format of 悼亡诗 or eulogy. The poems by Yuan Zhen that I translated in my video about him were such poems. Other genres of poems on romantic love is called 闺怨, which is usually about melancholy felt by young men and women when they did not have a partner or missing their loved ones who traveled far away. In my next video, I would translate one such poem by the great poet Li Bai. Of course, there are also genres for courtly love and for female entertainers from either the restaurants or brothels. Some high-rank officials also had their own female entertainers at home to entertain their guests. These women were called 歌妓 or 舞妓. Japanese 艺妓 or geisha is a modern version of this tradition. Anyway, I'm going to translate and analyze some of the most popular poems on romantic love. Of course, if you have any suggestions about poems you would like me to talk about, please let me know. I'm more than happy to read them for you. If you're new to my channel, please check out my other videos on classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, or medical literature. If you like the contents of these videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. If you would like to read the original text, please contact me. Here's my email address. Otherwise, thanks for viewing my video and I'll see you next time.